I don't know, sometimes I just stop and think, I'm gay. Like, that's so weird. I just kind of trip out on the fact that this is so not what I thought it was going to be like when I was younger. I remember it was my junior year of college. I was 21, and um, this girl who I had a crush on, who lived in Pennsylvania, was out here visiting where I went to school in college, which was Santa Cruz, and we were in Santa Cruz. I was very drunk, and she spent the night, and we started making out, and it just felt so wrong. I was just like, I'm not into this at all. I wasn't aroused. I wasn't turned on. She could feel it too, and she's like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, everything's fine, but we stopped making out. And I excused myself, and I went to get into the kitchen and got a drink of water, and I was just like, I'm gay. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I'm so gay, and this is so not what I'm all about. And I can only speak from personal experience, but it improved my life so much once I came out. And it was terrifying, and it was scared, and it was something I didn't want to do. But I guess it's kind of like jumping into a pool that you know is going to be really cold. You don't want to do it. And, like you might experiment and tip and, stick your toe in a little bit. And maybe that's akin to kissing a guy or something like that, even though you tell yourself that you're straight or something. But to get back to my analogy about this pool, that even though you know it's really cold and you're terrified to jump in, like you kind of know deep in your heart that it's going to be refreshing and it's going to be good and it's going to be worth it once you jump in. And if you can just run and jump and get that past that initial shock to the system, it's going to be a really refreshing swim, and you're going to feel better that you had done it. I think one stereotype that I feel, and again, I don't know if this is specifically gay oriented, but but maybe it is that the more guys you slept with, the hotter you are, the better you are, the sexier you are, has led me to sometimes go home with people or have sex with people that I wouldn't have if I wasn't validating myself in some way, shape, or form. Growing up and not being in relationships and not having people attracted to me really, I think, damaged my self-esteem and damaged how I perceive myself. And I really grew up thinking that people didn't want to date me and people didn't want to spend time with me in a romantic or an intimate way. And that's something that I've been struggling with. And I think when I meet someone who shows signs of wanting to do that, I get a little panicky and like, okay, who knows the next time that someone like this is going to come along? I better hang on to this for as long as I can. I don't think it's a choice. I didn't want to be gay, but I'm gay. And most of the gay men I know feel the same way. It would be easier to be straight, and it would be, I don't know why people would choose to be gay. I think that's just ignorant conservatism talking that, oh, it's a choice of people acting out or being rebellious. A lot of damage has been done in this area because of religion and because of people's religious beliefs, and I do believe it's damage. I do believe this world would be a better and safer place if people were more open and tolerant of homosexuals.
I think a big part of the difference between same-sex and heterosexual, relationships and individuals does have to do with the extra, added burden of knowing that you're a minority. And that's true for ethnic minorities as well. And it's something that I think often doesn't get enough attention. Anytime you've got sort of a mainstream culture and a stigmatized minority, that introduces, with every sort of standard developmental task, you have this extra layer of hurdles to go through in terms of self-acceptance and in terms of feeling comfortable with yourself. I think when it comes to same-sex relationships, it's often easiest and most salient to sort of focus on issues of social stigma, discrimination, minority status. I often think that crowds out attention to more basic relationship issues and processes. For example, power differentials can be just as important for same-sex as opposite-sex couples. Issues of who has more money, which is the person who makes most of the decisions in the relationships. Those can be just as important for relationship success as those issues of stress and minority status.
I think the egalitarian or equal relationship is desirable. If you're in a relationship with somebody, it's not like a business arrangement. It's not who has more power that makes it great. It's how well those people can exist together.
I think that it's good for one person to be in charge. I guess it would be good because you kind of, we always are tending to fit certain roles in every relationship we have.
I don't think that it's good to have an equal relationship.
I don't feel it's beneficial to have one person in charge of everything and kind of the leader of the relationship. I think that's kind of old-fashioned, and I'm more for, as I said before, an egalitarian relationship where both people contribute their ideas and, take charge in different areas that they're strong at.
It's probably beneficial if someone be more in charge because you could right away solve a problem. But I always like to think that I was going to be that person more in charge.
I think in a perfect world, an egalitarian relationship would be great. But in practice, I believe that a traditional relationship is better if both partners are happy with their roles.
There's no culture that has ever been studied on this planet that is not characterized by basically men having more power than women. And there's no way that can't influence men's and women's experiences in their interpersonal relationships, especially their intimate relationships with each other. And you see that in same-sex relationships as well as in opposite-sex relationships. But on top of that, you've got some sort of underlying dynamics having to do with gender that, again, are present in heterosexual relationships too, but they end up getting tweaked a little bit and often magnified when you have two people of the same sex.
Women really need to know that all the stereotypes about men are true.
We're really not as weak as you think we are. I think a lot of my male friends who are always complaining to me about girls, they seem to have this perception that girls are just so, so sappy and so weak and so easily broken down, and like they get pissed over the smallest things. We're really not that demented. We actually are quite logical, and if you talk to us in a reasonable, rational way, most likely we'll respond, accordingly. We're not going to chew your head off for no apparent reason. We're not always PMSing.
Sometimes women need to be patient with a man. They're not going to come into a relationship and just changing.
This is a big one that men need to understand. It is possible for women to just want to get laid. That's something that no guys believe. They think that if you sleep with them, you want to be their boyfriend, so then they're dicks to you, and they really don't need to do that because not all women, Sex and the City, Samantha, there you go.
I don't know. I think women need to know that men are simpler than they think, and that trying to figure them out so much adds really undue baggage to their journey.
I think they need to know that every woman has this inner desire to know that she's lovely, no matter what.
When we are complaining about something, we don't want you to solve our problems. Please don't try to solve them because you can't. You certainly don't know what you're talking about. So sometimes advice is okay, but it's really just better if a girl is complaining about something that you just say, oh, they're there, I'm here for you. Guys really need to know that.
And sometimes you think you're being respectful, but you're not. Or sometimes you think tiny little things that you're saying or little jokes or comments that you're making aren't going straight to the head, but they are. We're thinking and analyzing every single thing that you do.
Yeah,
so
that's a good one.
Keep that in mind.
I think when it comes down to it, men and women do want the same thing from their closest and most intimate relationships. Basic sense of security, trust, intimacy. The main differences are in the ways in which they go about articulating those needs and going about getting them. I think because of the liberalization in gender roles that we've seen historically, I think in the future we're going to see very, very different and idiosyncratic patterns of role differentiation in relationships. Basically, it's going to be up to every individual couple to figure out what feels best for them, and they'll make their own pattern as they go along.